Page 44, Sonatina. Music's getting a little more involved. I'm going to talk about a few things on this piece. At the top of page 44, they get showing you right hand positions. I don't like using those charts. We'll just do whatever the music tells us to do. The point is, in this piece, we're moving the right hand. Last time we moved the left, now we're moving the right. Where? Well, we'll get there when the music tells us to. Let's look it over. It's a page and a half long. Treble and bass clefs again. There's no sharps or flats in the key signature at the beginning, so we're in the key of C major. Just make sure you can do the scale for C major. Now, if you look at the end of the second line on page 45, you'll see the thin and thick bar line. That's the symbol for the end of a piece, so it's going to end there eventually. And after that, there's two sharp signs. They're telling you they're changing the key signature. Because if you look at the third line, now you have sharp signs at the beginning of them. Now we're in the key of G major, so make sure you can do the G major scale. They can change key signatures anywhere in the piece as much as they want, as often as they want. They have to do it at a bar line, is the only thing. Otherwise, yeah, they could do. They didn't have to change the key signature. They could have put in sharp signs in front of all the Fs. Instead, some publishers will do that. And you're thinking you're in one key, but you're actually playing in another, and you're hearing the what? Yeah, so either way, but this is how they change key signatures. And then if you look at the bottom of page 45, you get the double bars. That's the symbol for the end of a section going into a new section. Well, after the double bars are natural signs. Have we had natural signs before? I don't remember us having a natural sign before. Well, we got them now. So a natural sign simply means it takes the sharp or flat away. And so the natural signs in the staff there at the end, that means they're taking away the sharps. We're going back into the key of C major. They're changing key signatures again. And they usually do it when it's at the end of a line like this, or when a new key signature starts a new line, they'll change the key signature at the end of the previous line to tell you what's coming. Because in music, we tend to always read ahead. And so we get to the end of these lines and we see the key signature change. We know we're in a new key before we start playing it. We're getting a heads up on it. So it's in two key signatures, C major and G major here. And 3/4 time signature. I see a bunch of dotted half notes and eighth notes, half notes, whatever. We can handle that, I think. Quarter notes probably somewhere. I don't know. Let's take it one hand at a time. Make sure we understand what the hands are doing. The right hand, you start with fifth finger on G. That puts you in this position. I don't need those charts. I don't use those charts at the top of the page. You need to look at the music and figure it out. And it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and this fun. And I trust by now you know the names of the notes in the music instantly. You don't have to figure them out. You don't have to write them in. You know the names of the keys on the keyboard. If you've been using stickers, you take them off. You don't need those anymore. Let's go over to page 45. Now at the end of the second line, you're here. You get a one beat rest, and the third line, they want second finger here. That puts you in this position. So we're going to go from the second line here to the third line here. You have one beat of rest. And during the rest, you're going to move. You just lift up and move here. And you're focusing on the second finger because that's what you're going to play. And the rest of the fingers will behave themselves, I hope. So to end the second line, you're 1, 2, rest. 1, and then here. 1, 2, 3. 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. Okay, then at the bottom of page 45, you end the last line here. And you're going to go back to the beginning. I'll explain that in a minute. Or trust me, you're just going to go back to the beginning. At the beginning, you want to be back down here. So you're just going to lift up and move. And focus on the finger you're going to play. That's the little finger. So we're here, and then lift up and move. You get that little finger where it goes, and the other fingers will go along. We don't mess up the beat because we had to move the hands. And you'll have to look at the piano, the keyboard, when you move around like this. Otherwise, you don't have to look at the keyboard. I hope. Left hand, just eighth notes. Here, you're down here. All you need is the 5. You don't need the other fingernails because you're in this position. 1 and 2. So all this is a broken chord. And And this is another pattern for broken chords. And I'm just transferring weight. I'm rotating here from finger to finger. Here. I exaggerate it so you can see it better, but really it's a very small motion. Second line, it's here. 5/7 chord. Okay. Now, page 45, on the third line down, you're not really moving because you're already here. But you have an F sharp now. So the position went from here to here. Because F sharp's in the key signature, that's part of the position. So now we're here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. The idea? And then the last measure on page 45, they put in a natural sign in front of the F for an F natural. 1 and 2. And then you go back to the beginning. That's how it works. So then we put the hands together. And when I first put the hands together, I'm liable to hesitate. I don't care. I just want to know which fingers are working together. These are. And these are. Now here. Here. So I go through there. Page 45, the last two lines. We're up here in the right hand. It's here. And then at the end of the last line, you're here. I lift the right hand up as I play the E. Right there. And then as I'm playing this, I get down here ready to go. So 1 and 2. So it's a steady beat. And once I have an idea what the hands are doing, then I go through it carefully and slowly and work out the hesitations. So it's a steady beat. And then I'll think about the articulation. And here it's pretty connected. These eighth notes, connect them. Just connect them. In fact, this left hand, you can pretty much just connect it. Except for the wrist. You got to lift up for the wrist. Otherwise, connect it. Even the last two lines on page 45, try and connect these if you can. Here, yeah. And at the end of the last line here, connect the eighth notes all the way through. At the left or the right hand, you can lift up. Like the end of page 44, you're here, and then go to page 45, you're here, lift up. Just a little, like taking a breath. It's a new phrase. Yeah. Now the last two lines on page 45, these are two major phrases here. Lift up. Lift up. So lift up in the right hand. Connect the left. So once I have the articulation under control, then I'll think about the dynamics. P at the beginning is piano or soft. That's the melody, which is the right hand here. But you have this hairpin, you're going to get louder. It doesn't tell you how loud to get. A lot of times they don't. Once you get into the music and start feeling it, you'll get an idea. What's it feel like? How loud do you think it should get? I'm going to suggest you go on up to about a moderately loud to loud in that area. So just a hair louder, a little louder, a little louder. I'm there. And then second line. Now come back down. And then the page 45 do the same things. Soft, then gradually get louder. And then get back down soft. Then the left hand's just in the background. Now the third line on page 45, MF is mezzo forte or moderately loud. That's the melody, the right hand. The left hand's in the background. And then at the end, last measure, you get the hairpin to come back down to soft. Well, this, you can't do anything with that. You play it and then you're done. The left hand, you're in the background. Like a moderately soft, you go down to very soft. Just here. Because when you go back to the beginning, you want to be very soft in the left hand. It's the right hand that's going to be soft. And you're soft then. I missed it before, I'll say it now. At the beginning, between the stabs, there's the word legato. Legato means connect the notes. They're telling you that. I already told you that. Okay, good. Then the speed. Allegro moderato. Okay, what do you think moderately fast should be? It's the feel of it. Here. That feels slow to me. But these, those are going super. So we got to have somewhere in the middle where it kind of feels that way. Well, maybe it's better to pick somewhere else. Sometimes you can find a certain spot someplace in the piece where you can find a good speed for that spot, and then you take the whole piece for that. For instance, in the last two lines on page 45, here, how fast would this melody go at a moderately fast speed? 1, 2, 3. About that speed? Well, then take the whole thing at that. 1, 2, 3. 1. I mean, these are moving, but overall, it's got to sound moderately fast. And the section B over here, the last two lines on page 45, they're in sections. Okay, this is section B. That's where we want to be. Now, in some pieces, you can actually change speed at different sections, but this piece doesn't. You keep the same speed throughout. Until you get to the very end, they say second time retardando above the staff on page 45, second line at the end. That means if the second time you play it, then you slow down because you're ending it at that point. Well, at the bottom of page 45, there's a DC al fine. DC, remember, means go back to the beginning. Just don't ask questions, go to the beginning. Al fine means go to fine, and the fine is at the end of the second line on page 45. It's where the thin and thick bar lines are. So you're going to go back and play section A again. It's like sections A, B, A on the form of it. Because when you're learning long pieces of music like this, it's really helpful if you would just tackle them a section at a time. So learn section A well, and then put it aside, forget about it for a while, and focus on section B and just concentrate on section B. Don't play section A, just section B. And when you can play section B okay, then you go back and put it all together. Don't try and always tackle it right from the beginning and go through it. That's a really poor way of practicing. It really is. It doesn't work very well. Now they've added pedal. You don't need pedal on this piece. You did just fine without. But they've added it. So the question is why? What's it do? And that's my problem. It doesn't do anything. It's like, well, they're letting you use pedal because they want you to use pedal. That's a terrible reason to use pedal. Pedal is supposed to enhance the music or support the music in some way, and it doesn't do any of that here, in my opinion. We can get away with it because all these notes in the first line are part of a C chord. Every one of them. And as long as you're in the same chord, you can pedal it and get away with it. It sounds okay. The problem is, what's the point? What's it do? It does nothing because I'm not pedaling at the second line. This is another chord. I'm not pedaling those. It doesn't sound as nice, but it's still another chord. And then here. So why aren't I pedaling those? In my opinion, is either pedal at all or don't pedal any of it. And section B, you don't pedal at all. Well, we don't need to. Well, we don't need to pedal section A either. However, if you're anxious to use the pedal, you can do what they're telling you in the book. I don't agree with it. If I were your teacher, I'd cross out those pedal lines. Don't pedal this piece. It sounds better without. If you're going to use pedal, it's going to be lag pedaling. So I'm going to put the notes down first and then the pedal. But you got to do it fairly quickly or you'll miss the first eighth note. It'll be gone before you get the pedal down. So get the pedal down pretty quick. And I'm going to lift the pedal as I play the notes in the next line. They're telling you to lift the pedal up at the end of the line. No. Wait until you play the notes in the first measure, the second line here. And right after you play those notes, then lift it up. So again. you finish the page 44 and you go to the next page, it's a new phrase. You can lift the pedal up here with the right hand. You're going to connect the left hand. It keeps down, but you're lifting up the right hand for the phrase. You can lift the pedal up with it. And then you're pedaling 45 the same way. I really disagree with this. Too much difference between this and this. It's like, ugh. It just, I mean, it's nice to have some contrast, but that's not the kind of contrast I'm after. If I were going to pedal it at all, I would pedal these other measures also. You just lift the pedal up and right back down. So at the beginning of the second line, your pedal is down when you finish the first line. Then when I play the second line, right after I play the notes, I just lift the pedal up and right back down. Again, when you lift the pedal up and right back down, it's called change pedal. And that's how I would do it, so I'm pedaling the whole thing. But in my opinion, the sound just isn't right to pedal this. So I would encourage you to leave it out. Please don't copy me. It's just one way of doing it. You don't have to take it that fast. You can play around with the dynamics a little bit. If you feel them different, then try them a little different. See what you think. Let's play this together slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do the pedaling. I disagree with it. I'm not going to do the dynamic, the louds and softs note. We're not performing it. We're just checking notes and rhythms. But we will do the DC fine and all that. So I'll give us 3 counts. We're going to go really slow because of the 8th notes. 1 and ready and go and. test and done.